waste into biomass briquettes. So, right, Funke, you're right that I also am a farmer because I work with farmers to get my raw input, my raw materials, which I now turn into briquettes. And the raw materials could be anything from rice husk, coffee husk, sawdust, coconut husk, any kind of biomass, biodegradable material. I turn that into briquettes and give back to the community as a source of fuel for their boilers. By converting waste into briquettes, I help in reducing deforestation in Kenya and carbon emissions in the country. Besides renewable energy and briquetting, I'm very passionate about women. I work a lot with women groups and individual women entrepreneurs. I coach them, mentor them, and also train them on entrepreneurship.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Magari. Now, from the home end to the Pan-African side of things, Esther Dasano, how are you this afternoon, my sister?
I am very well, thank you, Funke, and you?
I'm very well too. So where are you speaking from? And what is that special thing that you do?
So good afternoon, everyone. I am actually calling from Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. I am the manager for the Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa, which is an initiative of the African Development Bank. And the special thing that I do is to try to enable women entrepreneurs of all walks of life and all sectors to be able to grow their businesses and, if you will, affirm themselves as entrepreneurs by providing access to finance and access to markets.
Fantastic. I think you've used the word that many people are waiting to hear today, access.
Yes.
And so at some later point in this session, I'm going to ask you exactly how women especially can benefit from this program and gain access to finance.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to turn to Tatiana. Tatiana, how are you this afternoon?
Hello everyone. I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. And so in our earlier sessions, I was told to wait to meet Tatiana. I was told that Tatiana is a force. And that force is being brought to bear on this session today. So Tatiana, tell us what exactly it is that you do.
Well, I do a couple of things. I have a consulting firm for the past 13 years, Elim Serviços, and we at Elim Serviços do a lot of value chain studies, monitoring and evaluations studies for the different clients that we own. But then over the years, we saw that as we were recommending them to follow some actions, we didn't see many of those being implemented because they were fearful of investing. So we then created a second company, that's Mutiana Investimentos, that actually invests along the value chain, agricultural value chain, from agricultural input distribution and technical assistance to the farmers in the rural areas where we really want to target youth and women. To agricultural production, we have farms. To agricultural commercialization of fresh produce, we have also fresh produce farms like gourmet shops where we are empowering the local farmers. We provide them with space for shelf space for their products because they really struggle to access markets. That's one of the challenges that farmers have, is access to markets. So we are trying to bring that solution to them. And then we also export some of the crops, to foreign markets. So those are different things that we do. Always thinking of integrated approach. How we can provide services, knowledge, because there's some training, as well as finance, as we link the farmers to serve some resources as well. So in a nutshell, we're playing all around the agricultural value chain and trying to provide this kind of services to the different companies that we own for.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tatiana. I hear a lot of agriculture, agricultural value chain, agribusiness. I remember that during the last webinar session, we had a lot of questions about agribusiness in Africa, how people can do better, how they can access finance, how they can get their businesses to grow from perhaps just a side hustle into a full business. Bertha, how are you this afternoon?
I'm very well.
So I
Thank
had
you.
asked that you specifically be on this session because I wanted us to benefit from your views. Many of the women I've spoken to over the course of preparing for this program expressed one kind of connection or other to the E4 Impact program. And a lot of the people I see today sitting here are part of that program as well. So my
Yes.
question to you would be, where are you sitting? What do you do specially? And how do you find those special talents?
Well, thank you very much and welcome to everyone who's logged on. I am in Harare at the moment, Zimbabwe, and I am the Southern Africa area manager. And my role is to bring everyone on board the platform and create synergies and be able to bring together all the partners in the alliances. And of course, most importantly, the ones that we are most passionate about, the job creators. So my job is to assist the team that I'm representing to find entrepreneurs. And in this moment, we are passionate about the women. And since our programs, most of them, 35%, we make a deliberate decision to recruit women into the E4Impact program. We are passionate about people who create jobs. So that's one thing that we look for: passion, drive, and most importantly, impact. Creating partnerships that have impact and creating entrepreneurs that have impact, that create jobs.
Fantastic. Yesterday, you mentioned a word that was very impactful to the rest of us. You said, we look for grit, meaning that we look for entrepreneurs who are resilient. Would you care to explain?
I missed the last part, but grit, yes. We are looking for people who are in it for the long haul, who have passion to impact. And our impact, we are saying, we don't only want to build impact in terms of economically, we want to build impact that will affect our social structures. We want to build impact that has impacts the environment positively. You see the ladies in the panel are people who are impacting the environment positively. So grit, create entrepreneurs that know how to rise from the ashes, know how to face challenges, have the skills and the tools to know that they're in it for the long haul and to create a great vision.
I'm trying to see if Chair is online. I haven't seen her yet. I was going to pose this next question to her. But in her absence, Esther, Bertha is talking about entrepreneurs who are essentially set up. Now, what about those people who are still at the seed level? Say, for example, Mamanduta in Karen Roundabout, who has a small sewing shop and needs to expand her business because really she can attract the base, the population to make her business grow. But she's not yet set up in such a way that she can benefit from such a program. Does the AFDB or does your experience show any kind of curve for such people? What can they do to get their businesses started out? And how can they access finance?
So I think, and thank you, Funke, for that question. There are a couple of things that the kind of entrepreneur that you're talking about, who's still kind of on her way, is not yet, if you will, based or solid just yet, and is still finding her way, can do. Number one is to ensure to enhance as much as possible her skills right? Because before financing, there are skills that any business owner, any entrepreneur should actually have, right? And the ability to manage your business properly, especially financially, is what is going to get your foot in the door. So as an entrepreneur already, when you're starting, if that's not solid enough, that's a problem for any financial institution. So that's the first thing. The second thing is we have to understand that depending on the stage of entrepreneurship that we're at, there are different types of financing mechanism for different types of people, right? And so for the kind who's just starting, who owns her shop at the corner, she does not need, if you will, the size of the loan that we're talking about is not that big. Right? This is why you have microfinance institutions. This is why you have, to a certain degree, mesofinance institutions. And then you also have, if you will, the less formal, but these are still financing channels, the likes of, you know, the tontine, where I am, for example, in Côte d'Ivoire or in Francophone Africa, the sousous and so on and so forth, who today are a bit more, they're not, if you will, in the formal channel as such, but they kind of have formalized themselves, right? They have found a system that kind of works. And
we have them in Kenya too. They're called chamas.
Exactly. And so these types of things, right, as an entrepreneur, I think it's just very important to know what are the different options that you have at your disposal, and when do you go to whom and for what, right? And depending also on your risk appetite, because that's also there, and something that as entrepreneurs we need to know and we need to own. You know, you kind of decide where is the best, if you will, opportunity for you. And then as you grow, of course, you will change, right? It will never be static. The ones who are well established are going to find that today commercial banks, for example, can't do anything for them. They're way past that. So this is when we start talking about equity, and we start talking about direct investments and things of that sort. So all these things are very important. So for someone who's just like still in the process, I would say don't start thinking about banking just yet. Start thinking about enhancing your skills, very much so. And then second, looking at, you know, those less, if you will, stringent institutions that can be of assistance.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Esther. Now, we all know that whatever it was we learned in business, at home, over the past years, has been tested and tried over the past 6 to 7 months. Now, with the coronavirus, many businesses have had to reevaluate their model. People have had to look at, you know, their profits, their margins. They've had to look at whether or not they need an office, as in a physical building, or whether they can work from home better. We've had no choice in many situations. I have had to learn how to teach from home, for example. So my question is to Joan. Wangari, Jane, how has this period in particular affected your business?
Thank you, Funke, for the question. Coronavirus has made us reevaluate our business model. Before, we used to be in a comfort zone where we only used to work business to business, do B2B model. Right. But because of the coronavirus, we have to reevaluate our model and see how we can partner with different key stakeholders along the value chain, so that, for instance, in the sales of the briquettes, we have partnered with people, individuals or companies who, instead of selling to them for credit, they are buying the briquettes and paying upfront, so that we are able to pay the suppliers upfront as they need. Before Corona, or before 2020, we used to sell our briquettes directly to institutions, large institutions and factories. What that meant was we had to give them, let's say, a 30-day credit, some even more than that. Because of the uncertainty of Corona and all, we have to reevaluate our model. on the supply side, we had to evaluate and see, are there other value chain key partners we can partner with them? For instance, suppliers who are able to give us their produce or their raw materials input for credit, a short period credit, and then we process, sell, and then we pay them. So we have actually been able to evaluate our model, and we have actually been able to sail through successfully. But
Fantastic.
what we are also realizing is, because of the global effects, some of the things are changing in our industry. For example, fuel. Some of the factories that can buy briquettes use fuel like furnace oil. Fuel globally prices has reduced. So that also affects fuel prices in Kenya also. So now is when we are starting to see the bigger picture of the corona effect in the economy.
We did mention yesterday that many of us did not expect that the cost of gas would come down in our generation. It was nice to see a little bit of a positivity in the situation we found ourselves in. Now, Mabel, I'm going to swing right back to you. You are sitting in Kumasi today. And Chair, welcome. It is nice to see you. We've been waiting to welcome you. So Mabel, when you sit amongst women like the meeting you're in Kumasi today, what, in your opinion, is the foremost worry of female entrepreneurs in Africa, in your part of Africa?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's interesting you ask this question, because I was just coming out of another panel discussion and a mentorship program, and because we are farmers, so I'll go the agribusiness. Right. So the greatest worry for these women is post-harvest losses. Post-harvest and its challenges. If you have a bumper harvest, you can't sell, you can't make any business out of it, because everything is bought at a very cheap price. I mean, those who do especially vegetables. And then they see day in, day out, their goods getting rotten or spoiled because they didn't have access to the market. They didn't have good pricing, and they thought that maybe we could wait a little bit, or a middleman or a middle person comes and offers them a price that is not what they can make any business out of it. Right. So these are the greatest challenge, which even today we talked about it, and we want to address it, that we need to go into agro-processing.
Exactly. That was my next question to you. I was going to say that, do you believe that
yes,
the session of storage facilities and
storage
further processing,
go into cooperatives, come together? Because I was telling them that sometimes we as women, we put our domestic challenges before our business. So you think that I have problems at home, so I can't push my business forward. So let me do this something small just to keep me moving. But then if you come into cooperatives, associations, and you are together, you're able to fight for pricing. If I come to Mabel and Mabel offers me $10, and I go to Ekwe also offers me $10 or less, because
there you are.
Okay, I'm on now. Sorry, I had a message on to turn on my video.
Your video.
Okay, so if you're in a cooperative, you come everywhere you go, the price is the same, so you can move forward. So these are some of the challenges that they are faced. And these women, well, we have some kind who are educated, who can go online and read and have their own information, but others are in the rural areas, and if you don't reach out to them, then they don't get to know anything, and they are always at the mercy of these supply buyers.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mabel. Tatiana, in your corner of Africa, since you're playing in several areas of agribusiness, what is the foremost challenge that women face on your side?
Well, here, I think we are in Southern Africa, the tip right here in Maputo, but really saying Mozambique. I think the
Right.
challenges are the same all over Africa. You know, one of the greatest challenges right now are really markets. You know, with COVID, farmers, I think COVID actually brought has two sides. You know, for us, one of the sides is the fact that people or the farmers actually have to reinvent themselves. Okay, so we have to make sure that we meet the market requirements. We are then able to try to reduce the impact of the disease in our business as we stay home, or at least limit our exits from the farms, even from the homes. But then the market requires food because people are at home. So that's really a two-way. But then we have another side is that we, as Mozambique, there's great dependence, especially in the south, great dependence on import from South Africa, because Mozambican farmers, in the south have been producing, but because of the Southern Africa trade agreements, things from South Africa have come in easily, no problem. It's part of the trade agreement that we have. But then they are more competitive than our products most of the time.
Wow.
Not really because they are of better quality, but because of better price. The input prices are lower in South Africa than in Mozambique, because we actually import the inputs for production. So now with the closing of the borders, the farmers have an opportunity to start supplying the market with less competing products. So right now, farmers, men and women, are really doing their very best to increase production to meet market requirements. But then you have a situation where they weren't ready for it because nobody was expecting this. So there are no resources, not enough skills, all those, let's say, tools and resources required are not there. So we really are reinventing ourselves. And one of the things, for instance, in our business in Aorta, where we supply fresh produce to the farm, from the farm, we started actually producing in greenhouses, to increase our production and productivity. And then we started delivering products from the farms to the people. Enabled us some agro-processing. We're also doing some agro-processing to ensure that we have product, over a longer period of time. So that's really a challenge. We all have to reinvent ourselves over a period in this moment. And I think it came to stay.
So from one reinventor to another, Che, how are you today?
Hello.
You got it. There you are. Hello.
And you, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. It's amazing to be in such fantastic company. Quite an excellent collection of women here today. I am honored to be moderating your conversation. So Che, you came in a little after we started, and I wanted to give the audience an opportunity to get to meet you and to find out what it is you do and what city you're sitting in.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good evening. I'm in Cameroon. I am Che Hedwig KN, co-founder and co-founder of Universal Marine Services, Nextelcam, and right now I am the CEO of Destiny Farms. Destiny Farms is an agro company where we produce and we sell to the public. It's been existing for over 15 years today. So I actually started it as my side business. It's not like it was something that I was into because I was doing other things while I had the farm.
Okay.
So today it has become the main source of my revenue. So that is what I do for today. And in this plantation, What we do is we grow palms and mill them and sell the palm oil to the public. We do grow birds, table beds, and then we sell to the public. We also have a piggery where we grow pigs and we sell to the public. And we also do fish farming, fresh fish farming, where we also grow fish and then we sell to the public.
What
So
size of land are we talking about that you're farming with?
Oh, 50 hectares for now. That's what we are on now. It's more than that, but that's what we are on now, 50 hectares of land.
And you have the capacity to farm how much exactly?
Yeah, we have a large capacity, but the number of farms you can find on 50 hectares is about 5,000, no, excuse me, sorry. Because a hectare has 145 farms. So if you multiply, you have about 35,000 farms. That's correct.
And are they seasonal? Do they fruit at the same time? Or
Oh, they are seasonal. We have the peak season and we have the low season. But right now, since they're still young, you know, it has a lifespan of 45 years. 45. So since they're still young, yeah, since they're still very young, we do harvest every time, like every 2 weeks, but we have the peak season where we harvest more. That's when we have the peak season and then we have the semi-peak or the low season. So the peak season is when we really do harvest a lot and we have a lot of products.
During this period where the coronavirus has made many businesses grind to a halt, how have you managed? What have you done in that time?
Okay, since it's a farm and nothing really changes, you know, the climate does not change considering the situation that we have, the coronavirus. But its impact on my company was a bit negative from the beginning because we were on this panic, and I had to put down my workers for us to discuss, and then we see how we can continue without letting anybody out. Right. So what I did was cutting the salaries into 2.
Wow.
Rather than I decided to cut the salaries into 2 so that we all can stay together. So that was what I did actually to keep all the workers in place.
Wow. Fantastic. I see quite a few questions have come in from yesterday's gathering where we discussed what we were going to talk about today. We noticed that there were quite a number of inquiries that had to do with agribusiness. And not all of these women needed a huge amount of money. Earlier on, Esther Dasanu had told us that there are different avenues for finding money when your business is still at that micro point. Now, Shay has just said that her business used to be her side hustle. It used to be at that micro level, and now it's the main source of income for her family, and her other groups of businesses. Shay, what advice would you give to women who are right now looking at their side hustles and saying, I want to grow it into a big business like yours?
Okay, yeah, it's a very good question. Thank you very much for that, because that is one of the things I really want to tell women. I do coaching and I do coach them and I mentor them on that, because, you know, people always feel that to start a business, you need a very huge sum of money. Exactly. No, we don't need that, because this is something that it was an idea, like me just doing something very small for my house, right, just for the home. But at the end of the day, I realized that it was making me save a lot. So what I did was to get involved step by step. You know, it's a gradual process. As I said, I've been inside since 50 years ago. So 15 years up to today, you can understand what I mean. So right, it's something that we started, like I started with 50 birds. Today I have a capacity of 15,000.
50 birds?
Yeah, sure. I started with 50 birds.
Wow.
And you know, yeah, it didn't cost me up to, I'll put it in CFA francs because I'm in Cameroon. Yeah. I'll just convert to dollars. It didn't right, cost me up to about $200.
Right, $200.
Yes, it didn't. It didn't cost me up to that to keep 50 birds. So you see, I started gradually, and then I grew inside. So what the advice I would like to give young women or other women who really want to get involved in farming or agriculture is that they shouldn't be afraid that it entails a lot of huge capital. Whatever you have, whatever ideas you have, and you think you want to put them in place, start small. Because we're starting small, we do all those errors, and then from those errors, we learn how to grow. Because if you go and then you start big at the end of the day, you might fail. Because I have failed so many times. I've failed so many times. But what was that push? The push was that I had that passion that I wanted to grow and I wanted to do this thing. So I kept on going. So you see, start small, use the small capital you have, then just continue growing and then put that focus and resilience. If you have that resilience in you, I think that you'll be able to make it. It's not all about money because you might have that money, but if you don't have that focus and resilience in you, you will not be able to carry on because there are so many storms that we meet along the road. We meet those storms, and if you don't have that passion as something that you really want to do, then you will not be able to do that. So I think resilience and focus is very important on this one. It's not even about capital though.
Thank you, Che. I realize that some of the members of my audience are already asking questions along those lines. Chinasa Jonathan Oj is sitting in Lagos, and she wanted to know how she could turn her business from the side hustle that it is now, having retired, to a full business. And your answer was perfect for that. I'm going to turn to Esther Dasana.
Okay.
Esther, in our last session, one of the panelists, Fatma Elmawi was her name. She's one of the senior vice presidents at the Kenyan National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And she had said that one of the things that women need to do is come together for reasons of advocacy and so that they can present a united front and can be represented. She also said that women need to register their businesses and be formal. What kind of light could you throw on that situation for women whose businesses are now growing from chairs level, for example, to scale on an international level? Now, I'm asking this question because some of our members want to know what kind of synergies we can benefit from when we do business with one another.
Okay, I love that question, and I love it for two reasons. One is I think because, and it kind of almost comes back to what Che was saying. When you start small, but very often what happens is women take their businesses as, you know, it's a hobby. Right? It's something that I wanted to do. I love the fact that Che said that no matter, you know, the mistakes, the whatever, she had the passion and she wanted to grow, right? Versus this is a hobby. I'm just making a little bit of money on the side. And because I'm making a little money on the side, that's what it remains. Until the business starts growing to a certain degree where you realize that, oh, well, actually this thing could become something. And now I need to go to the bank and get money. It's not going to work. Why? Because from the very beginning, the woman did not think of that side hustle that she was, you know, kind of playing with as an actual hardcore enterprise. And if you think about it as a hardcore enterprise, the first thing that you do is that you actually go and register your business. And the reason why you register your business is because we're working in a formal system. So when you remain in the informal, you're actually unseen. Everything that you've done, everything, all the experiences that you've had and so on and so forth, they're nowhere, they're recorded nowhere. So what if a financial institution would base itself on to actually consider you as being a viable business or not? is not seen, but the first thing that they would actually look at to consider you as a viable business or not is whether you're formalized.
Right.
So if you haven't done that, then of course access to finance becomes difficult for you, right? So if there is one piece of advice is you're going into business and you're wanting to go somewhere, you see that business becoming like Chase or Tatiana's or Jane's or so on, please go and formalize your business ASAP. I mean, it'll help you in the long run. So that's the first. The second thing is your question on, women coming together and being advocates. I think we are strong as how loud our voices are,
Exactly.
right? And we're also as strong as how sustainable our businesses are in the long run. So as long as we're seeing ourselves at a national level, right, there are things that we can do and the business will sustain itself because the main, if you will, focus is the national one. But once we start talking about going global, things change. The standards change, the sizes of the orders, they change. And before I joined the African Development Bank way back when, I was working for an organization called the Corporate Council in Africa, where I worked with American companies who were looking to do business with African companies. And that's how I actually ended up doing a lot with women, actually, because 50% of the companies that I worked with were women. One of the biggest hurdles outside of access to finance was the fact that they were too small. So they couldn't meet the orders. The quality wasn't there because, of course, they didn't have the machinery necessary and so on and so forth. And I remember having this conversation with a couple of them saying, but you're all kind of doing the same things. Why don't you come together? Why don't you merge? And to my disappointment, unfortunately, and like, competition, competition, competition. Competition is a good thing, right? Because it forces you to move forward and to innovate. But there is a time, and corporates, they do that, right? There is a time when they're like, okay, we're too small to go to the bigger market. We need to consolidate. We need to come together. We need to merge.
Exactly.
As entrepreneurs, it's very important, especially if you aspire to go further, that you also merge. I think we almost have to think of ourselves as sometimes like a bigger cooperative, a formal cooperative that has, if you will, an aspiration to do bigger things. We would be stronger if we pulled our resources together, strategized together, right? In order to produce better, to produce more, and to employ also more people, right? Our continent today needs that. The small, that's good, but it's not taking us as far as we want to go. So both of those two things are, I think, critical for women's entrepreneurship to go to the next level.
Thank you, Esther. See, it takes a little bit of the altruistic in one to see possibilities in other people and to not see competition. I remember a gentleman called Steven Saka during my days at MIT who taught my cohorts and I that from that point in our lives, it should no longer be about competition. It should then be about cooperation. Because by cooperating, we could go a lot farther. Really, together, everyone achieves more. Now, I'm going to swing to Bertha. Bertha, one of the questions I keep seeing is, what does E4 Impact offer to entrepreneurs? Someone has asked, are we in Lagos? And I say Isabella's reply there. We need people to know, for example, what it takes to get into a program like the E4 Impact Entrepreneurship Program, and what will they gain from it at the end of the day?
Great, thank you. So definitely we as E4 Impact Foundation are there for everyone who has a passion and a dream to build something. So we're talking about the person at idea stage. We have three, if I can mention, 3 programs. We have our accelerators where we are working with the the one at idea stage or startup or at growth stage, where we are building, we have a curriculum which is instilling the skills and the tools to be able to take you off or to scale you. And then we have the ICE International Certificate in Entrepreneurship. And we are graduating a little bit further to that entrepreneur, maybe who is self-actualized to a certain extent. And ultimately, we have our MBA program, which we are targeting the entrepreneur who probably, in terms of qualification, has an undergraduate program. But we're still accommodating you at idea stage, at startup stage, at growth stage, at 15 years later, we still want you in our program. So we are taking care of that person who has just resolved to say, this is what I want to do. And I need space where I can find people who I like. I love the emphasis on collaboration, because that's what we're all about. Right. We are currently in 14 African countries, aiming for 20 next year. So our breadth is wide. We're in alliances with universities, with organizations that are into capacity building. So we partner with anyone who is willing to follow that vision, to grow a vision and grow entrepreneurs.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Bertha. So Bertha mentioned capacity building. And in that capacity, I'm going to throw it back at Tatiana. Tatiana, you play in different areas of the market. How do you find capacity building in your corner? How do you help along your value chain to make sure that the best practices you're instituting at on your end of the business gets passed down the line?
Okay, thank you for that. It's indeed important to ensure that best practice are adopted throughout, because at the end of the day, we want quality, and we would not only want a quality product, but we want quality in human resources as well. So the people that work with us and for us have to have the right skills. So there's a lot of training involved. And apart from everything else, we actually focus a lot on strategic partnerships, the collaboration that we're talking about here. So we call it strategic partnerships. Who does it better? Who knows who's a guru in this area? So for me, I also always want to find the people that have a lot of experience in the area, and I bring them along, so that we can drink from that experience to be able to design manuals and design courses, training sessions for the farmers or for entrepreneurs, whoever they are, in whichever area they are, that are practical. It's all about practical experience. Don't want any theoretical thing. We want something that is practical. And we do a lot of that, through the coaching process, where they are able to see what we do, learning by doing. And how do you also empower them to be able to achieve higher levels of performance, what they're doing today and how they can improve and achieve tomorrow. So it's all really about looking also at what the market needs, and from the market needs, and then you design backwards. If the market needs something, so we are here today. Let us design a training session that makes that actually enables them to achieve what the market needs, to respond to that market need, and taking also in consideration that market is constantly changing. So you need to be able to be flexible, and it gives them the skill, to adapt themselves constantly. So it's a challenge, because most of the time, if you're talking with smallholders, you're talking with people that don't have a lot of education, but still they are smart. They are market smart. If there's an opportunity for them in the market for them to sell the product and actually make money, they easily convert themselves. We have seen that. Sometimes they're even faster than the than the urban people,
Indeed.
But it's all about providing that opportunity to them. And we do also by focusing on the youth, because we believe there's a lot of youth opportunity, youth that could serve as the leverage, to bring in technology, bring in new knowledge into rural areas, into the market. So we're also fostering a lot of our efforts towards youth, designing policies with government. There's a lot of partnership with government. At Elim Services, we provide technical assistance to the government, helping them with the design of programs and policies, evaluating the programs as well, and then, through our implementing arm, which is Mutiani, which means to then do the implementation of all those things. So it's a combination of things that we look for and we try to do.
Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you so much. Now, I wanted to take a few questions, and Marco Locati's question is amazing. He says that cooperation is a word that's been thrown around now, and it takes a lot more than that. It's in the way that cooperation is structured amongst competitors that makes a difference. And let me throw a little bit of light on this. This round table is a gathering of African women. At some point in the family history of one or the other of us, there has been polygamy. And in many cases, women have come together to raise the children of that house as one entity. So we know what it means to cooperate even when we're in competition. Now, if we can extrapolate logically and take that into business, we know that it is possible for us to work together even when we retain our own individuality. This is the same thing that happens with chamas. You'll find people who sell the same thing. For example, here in Nairobi, we have quite a few Maasai markets. Now, the Maasai tribe is colorful and beautiful and very talented with artifacts and jewelry. So you'll find a lot of markets spring up, mobile markets, where you can pick up things that are quite pretty for a small price. Now, the women who work at these Maasai markets, they are usually resellers and they form chamas. I know because I took the time to join one so that I could learn from them. And they form these chamas where they bring their money together and help one another by rotation. So this kind of rotational funding is one of the ways in which we cooperate even while we are competing. And we can find different parallels like that in other areas. Shay, do you want to throw some light on that?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much.
Right.
Like in Cameroon, what I do here, or we do here as women, my first customers or my first wholesalers are women. Because what I do is I want to empower them. Because we are the farmers, but the people who sell to, we have men and we have women. So what I do is that I, first of all, deliver to women until they cannot take these products before I can go to men, trying to empower them. So that is what I'm trying to do. And another thing, we cooperate. Because at one point, as I say, I wasn't an expert in the field from the beginning. When I started, yeah, I did my errors by producing oil, and the oil was not very good. That's true. So one of the women who had been in the sector for a very long time, she told me that, you see, they all have some issues. So I did not understand, but I know, So I opened up, I told her that, well, I am just coming into the business. I started producing, first of all, I was supplying to Socapam. Socapam is the Belgian company here. They buy the nuts and then they process it and then they sell. They do export and produce savon and stuff like that. So she told me that you can do this, you can do that, you can do that, you can do that. Right. You see? So that is what we are talking about, cooperation. We cooperate. We come together to be able to expand and to grow big. So if we don't do that from the beginning as women, then we will not be able to grow. Again, women are, first of all, entrepreneurs. Yeah. They are naturally entrepreneurs. They are managers. You see, we manage our homes from the beginning. A small girl of 18, I got married at 20.
Wow.
Yeah, I could be able to manage my home the small way. I didn't even know. Yeah, I left school. I could not get a job because I started having kids and stuff like that. But what prompted me into getting into this petty business? I needed something. I needed to bring revenue to my home, not just sit there and then expect to get from somebody all the time. So you see, those are the kind of things we should be able to make other women to we should be able to become a model to these young ladies. So you see, combining or merging with this lady of doing that cooperation with her, I grew. And today I know better. So it's better for us to be open and be ready to learn from our fellow women.
Yeah.
Though people say that it's complicated, but it's not really complicated per se.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not complicated. When
Thank
you are
so
ready
much.
and you're open, I think it can flow very well. So
I think you've hit the nail on the head. We have to be able to learn from other women. But
yeah.
you see, it takes humility to learn.
Mhm.
That need to continue to know, to learn more. It takes humility. It also takes trust. When an older woman, for example, who's more experienced, takes a younger one and says, this is the way to do this business. This is how to do it better. You are trusting her
Yeah.
that when it comes to her turn, she'll also hold the hands of other young women. And so I'm going to take this to Mabel. Mabel, how do you work with other women to cooperate within your own value chain there?
Yeah, thank you. I must say that I'm also the president of, we have an association called African Women in Agribusiness. We bring all women in agribusiness under one umbrella. Ghana chapter has started strongly, and we hope to reach out to the other African countries in due course. But then in my, currently in what I'm doing, I just realized that the traditional way of processing fish was to smoke or dry.
Yeah.
And I thought I could put in something different from what everybody add on to the kind of products that we have. It didn't come just overnight. It's because I went into farming, the fish farming itself, and I had a lot of challenges, and I thought that let me go into processing and then work backwards, kind of backwards integration. Now I have a lot of women who are very excited about the fish sausage, who are really on my neck to, to teach them how it is done. And that is how it should go. In the introduction, I failed to add to that. I'm setting up an incubation hub. And definitely the women, especially in aquaculture, because
Right.
I think that there's a lot of intervention for women in other sectors, the crop and but we lack so much intervention in aquaculture. So this is my baby now, to bring the women together, run incubation, run mentorship program, and anybody who wants to learn, because from what I've seen with this product, I know that I can't, even if I want to alone, if I want to supply Ghana and go to West Africa and eventually capture the whole world, I'll not be able to do it alone. And that will really need to have other women on board for everybody to also have its quota. And also to learn other things in connection with aquaculture, because I got in and I learned that you could get leather. I've seen the shoes from Kenya.
Yeah.
The skin of tilapia is used for belts and wallets and other things.
Yeah.
You can have fertilizer, you can process the guts into fertilizer. So these are kind of things I want to bring the women together, so that if you don't have the money to do the fish farming itself, you could collect the waste and also turn it, just like my sister does, and turn it into another income generating activity. So very much so, the incubation hub will come on, and I'm sure I'll make a big impact in women who are interested in aquaculture.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mabel. That's eye-opening. Indeed, fish leather is used for many things in Kenya traditionally, including for shelter, clothing, some kinds of jewelry as well. It's good to have such gatherings so that we can learn from one another. So, hi. It looks like someone is sharing a screen. Isabella, could you take care of that for us? Hi, Ezeldin. So yes, my question from Marco Locati is for farmers, and this goes to Wangari Jane. Are you there?
Yes.
So this question would be your question to take. How do you manage, for example, your end of the agricultural value chain, which is mostly waste-based? You see what we don't usually get to see. So when we were talking about post-harvest wastage between the farm and the table, the parts that fall from that passage is what you turn into briquettes, right? Now, if the ecosystem was better managed and we had the right kind of storage, do you think that vegetables and fruits, for example, would arrive at the market more intact, and therefore you would have less input for your end of the business?
Thank you, Funke, for the question. When I look at the value chain, there's a lot of waste that happens along the value chain, not just in the post-harvest. Even in the logistic transportation of the produce to the market, there's some waste also there. So what I have been doing is partnering with different kind of vendors along the value chain, so that at any given point where there's waste, we are able to tap into that waste, and we are able to recycle it back into a product that can be used in the society, as opposed to it just being dumped in the environment, therefore causing a lot of waste sites, dump sites in the environment. So there's a lot that can be done during the post-harvest to preserve the produce as it reaches the market. We have seen a lot of innovations coming whereby there's a lot of, for example, solar drying systems, where now farmers are being encouraged to dry their produce and sell it as dry. So for example, you can have tomatoes or you can have fruits and or perishable or other perishable products. So instead of letting the perishable products go into waste, there are some innovations that are coming around where you are able to dry those fruits, you're able to dry that produce and package it, give it to the market as an added value product. At the end of the day, you're going to sell the same thing, but you have added value to it. So yes, there is a need for partnerships along the value chain, and where it is completely not possible to, for example, repackage the produce, that is where people like us come in. Instead of that waste being and thrown in the environment, we are able to recycle it back into a product. So also I'm encouraging other farmers or other entrepreneurs out there that there's a lot of innovation that can run through the value chain. And the innovation can be either in the value chain of processing, marketing, selling, storage. We need to have, like you say, in the collaboration. If farmers in a specific area can come together, or entrepreneurs in a specific area can come together and, for example, provide warehouses, storage spaces for some of the produce, and then it is distributed from that kind of a warehouse, there will be less wastage of the produce. But then where there is wastage, what innovations can come about to at least recycle that waste into a product or into something else that can be recycled back into the society, probably at a cost-effective price at the end of the day.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jane. Esther, we've heard a lot about cooperation, trust building, communal accountability for our own growth and development today. My next question is to you. What kind of help can we look forward to receiving from institutions like the AFDB, for example, in institutional infrastructure? See, for example, where Shea is, there are needs for machines to process oil palm produce. not just the consumable parts which we use for food, but also the parts that we use for other things like making soap or body cream or palm kernel oil. How can we look forward to help from institutions like this?
So the African Development Bank has put the AFAWA, so the Affirmative Finance Action for Women initiative, to address all these issues, right? So whether we're talking about infrastructure, whether we're talking about, inventory growth, whatever it is, that's why this mechanism is here. However, what we have to understand is that the AFDB is a wholesale institution, right? So we invest into financial institutions to whom it is the role of financing all the entrepreneurs, because we do not have the infrastructure to go, to the small level, right? And so AFAWA in itself, therefore, works in a number of ways. The first is issuing lines of credits to different financial institutions for them to then lend to women entrepreneurs specifically. So our whole focus is on women owned businesses, so that they can buy the equipment that they need, lease the equipment that they need, or build the structure that they need in order for them to go to the next level, et cetera, et cetera. They are trade finance, so you can go into a financial institution, and if you're in the trading business, for example, be able to get financing so that you can get your merchandise in on time, and so on. One of the things that we have also understood to be an impediment for women is the problem is not going to the bank, is that when you get to the bank, they start asking you things that you don't have, right? So where's your collateral? And because you don't have the collateral, well, you don't get the loan. So in order for us to address this collateral issue, we are in the process of launching very, very soon, hopefully in the next couple of months, a guaranteeing mechanism that will then enable women entrepreneurs to go to financial institutions, and those financial institutions to be more comfortable in lending to them because the loan is actually covered. And the reason why we're going on and putting this particular program in place is because we're confident about the fact that women actually repay their loans. I've been in the business for too long, right? And I've seen it so many times. Like when you're looking at the level of, loans that are non-performant into a financial institution's portfolio, you see that the portfolio of the women is actually at a much lower level than the rest of the portfolio. Let me just say it that way. Than the rest of the portfolio, right? So we trust the fact that women repay their loans. And so if we're able to ensure or convince the financial institutions by telling them that, look, you know what, we know she's gonna repay.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't repay, we will cover it.
We got you.
Exactly, we got you. So go ahead, lend, right? Is the program that we're about to put in place, which will then enable women to be able to, address all these different, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's whatever it is that they need for their business, the program will be able to do that. It also comes with capacity building on both ends. On the side of the financial institutions, for them to understand the market that we're talking about, right? Women operate their businesses very differently than men. Our business and our families, they're intertwined, goes together, right? And so the risks, therefore, that we face are very different than those that are faced by men. And so those need to be taken into account when we're being provided products or financial services, right? The things that make us react we're very relational. And so when you walk into a bank and you feel that, oh, I'm actually not welcomed here,
you don't take your business there.
You don't take your business there. And because we talk so much, then we start spreading. And so, you go to work and you're like, why didn't you ask for a loan? Oh, banks are too complicated. Really? Did you go? No, but I heard that Chase said that, and then that's that, right? So all
Right.
these things are things that we have to take into account, or that financial institutions have to take into account if they really want to deal within the women's market. But at the same time, it's important, as I said earlier, that women are also equipped to have the conversation with the banker, right?
Exactly.
To understand their risk, to know how to negotiate, to be able to talk about their 5-year vision. Because if I'm putting my money into you now, not only do I want to know that you can repay it, because you're going to make the money in order to repay it, but I also want to know that I have a long-term client who I'm going to finance over a certain. So if you're walking in and you have no idea what your 5-year vision, your 10-year vision is, I'm not convinced, right? So it's all these things. So equipping the banks and equipping women in order for the conversation to be at the same level so that they can get the loan. So that's what the AFAWA program of the AFDB is putting in place to help women entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much, Esther. That is so enlightening. I could just see people nodding as you were speaking. I could see the women going, yes, yes, we are very relational. And that's how we do our businesses. So looking back, and this question is for Shay because it's been asked by someone else in the audience. What she wants to know was your biggest challenge. See, Alice, who I happen to have the honor of having taught on the E for Impact program, says that in Kenya, we call the middleman off takers because they take off, from your profit, from what you should eat. How have you dealt with that in your experience? What does the middleman do for you or not?
Yes, from the beginning, I had those people, and it was a whole lot of problems to me, because at times you feel as if you are working for that person.
Exactly.
Yeah, you feel as if you're actually working for that person because you see what the person does the arrangement. The intermediary, he goes or she goes and meets somebody, and then you don't even have a clue of what they discuss, and then he comes back to you to take it at maybe for almost nothing. And then when you see what is being paid, it's like, oh, I'm really working for this person. And then the truth is they don't always disclose these opportunities to you. So what I always do is from the beginning, yes, I had those issues because I had no way, I had no means, and I didn't know the rest, and I had to study it myself. So I had to use them, learn. As I said, the learning curve is very important. It's very important. If you don't learn, you will always make those errors, and you will make them for a very long time. So what I did is, yes, I used them. They had their opportunities. I cried. And then afterwards, I took up the baton and decided to start looking for my customers myself. When online started using the internet, the internet to post my products, because that is something that so many people don't understand. We might have these products, we don't know how to sell them to the people who want them. So what do? You have to look for means in order to sell them, to take them out of your hands. I remember I had about 50,000 liters of palm oil at one time. I needed money. I needed to put that money into the farm. I didn't have that money. I didn't know how to disburse this, take out this oil, and then what will I do? You have the products, but you don't have the money, and you have need for money. So what did I do? I had to go and start myself, going and meeting small petty sellers. These women, as I said, I do it mostly with women, because you go to men, you know how they are. They are just like, oh, no, I can't manage it. I don't need that and stuff like that. But when you go to a woman, it's easy to communicate.
Right.
So the way our approaches are really different. So you go to the woman, you can even talk to her, even if she doesn't need it. and she sees the need that you need that money, what she will do is maybe take it and then pay afterwards.
Yeah.
So those are those are the small things that I did. So I started doing the marketing myself, carrying the products to the market, delivering up my money afterwards. So it was really difficult to take out that step of the intermediary and then do it myself. Yes, I had to do that because those intermediaries don't do anything. I will say that they don't do anything because at times they make as if they are the ones who really do this business for you. But the truth is just because of the small communications and you do all the work and then they just come and they take a greater share of your a greater chunk of your profit. I will say that. So that's what I'm trying to say. So my own way I did that was just put them aside and then forge ahead. So that is what I did.
Fantastic. So we have sort of come full circle in this conversation, and we have heard from you women who are working in different parts of Africa, and we seem to have come together to say that we need to cooperate, we need to build trust in order to do it, we need to formalize our businesses, we need to come together to form groups in order to benefit from advocacy, and we need to mentor and help one another to grow.
Sure.
In the little time we've spent together, I've learned quite a lot from each one of you. I see from Wangari's point of view that sometimes something which is positive for everyone else might not be positive for your business, but you still have to grow through it and find other ways into the market. We have learned from Bertha that if you don't have grit, then you really will not fit into the E4 Impact system, because we look for entrepreneurs who are resilient and who are committed to making a success of what they're doing. We've learned from Esther that there are many different ways into the market. You can grow from micro to a real big business like what Che is doing, and you can find funding in different ways. We've also learned from Che that you can grow your side hustle into quite a big business, even if it takes 15 years to get there. Mabel tells us that if you hold the hands of other women, we can build a better Africa, because even if she did it herself, she couldn't cover that whole base. And so she's helping other women like her to cover that base. And from Tatiana, we've learned that if you spread your fingers wide enough, you can cover a bigger part of the business. And today I've had many questions on how to build on processing. In Africa, we do a lot of agribusiness. We do a lot of farming. I'm sitting in Nairobi, Kenya, where nearly every Kenyan woman has a shamba somewhere, and her farm is her side hustle. And so we're very invested in agribusiness. But in order to benefit from that dynamic that we all bring together, there are certain things that we need to do. And so I'm going to begin with you, Tatiana. If there is one thing, one piece of advice that you could give to women, especially women who are either starting businesses or at a point in their business where they're asking themselves, which way should I go? What would that advice be?
Okay, I would certainly say to them, look inside yourself. What is it that you are good at? Who do you know? Because sometimes the solutions are within us or around us, you know? So it's important that you understand your skill. What do you know that you could actually provide to someone else, you know, at a cost, you know? And then you could also say to yourself, okay, who do I know that could help me improve my knowledge or could actually help me to get my product to the market? Right. So, you know, sometimes we as women, we do not value much, or we don't do much of self advertising. You know, we don't sell our image a lot. We are shy. Men talk about what they want to do. We know when they're drinking, when they meet, you know, they talk. We are very shy. We think about, you know, the competition. We think that we're not so good enough and all those things. But if you share with someone that you trust is important, someone that will uplift you and say, I want to do this. You know, so and so, could you help me get into that market? Could you help me sell my product? You know, so it's about giving that step forward, you know, being bold towards it.
humble, bold, and really persisting on it. Check what is it that I always say, look at your hands, because you have the solution within yourself,
Right.
through your networking, through your own skill, and you can find that solution. So and don't fear, like Shea said, you fail, but you learn from it.
Right.
It's a process. So stand up, go back to it, and find people that can help you throughout the process. So do not give up.
Beautiful. Shay, I said I was going to ask you a question today. You live in a country where there are upheavals every now and again. As a woman who's doing business, how do you deal with the question of violence or insecurity with your business concerns?
Wow. That's a tough one there.
Exactly. I told you I was going to throw it in.
Thank you. And again, language.
Yeah.
Actually, Cameroon, it's a bilingual country. We do speak French and English.
Wait.
And I'm staying in Douala, where it's a francophone area. So it's another challenge, just to add to what you're asking.
Yeah.
So these are the same questions people do ask me. How did you manage to integrate up to this level where you are? Yes, those difficulties are really there because, like an Anglophone, being an English speaking, like myself, first of all, when you speak, people understand that you are not from the same area where they come from. Where I invest is not in my own region. It's in the other part of the country where we say we are being viewed as the minority. So at this age, it is not easy. It is really difficult. But what I understand is, as I've said, when you are resilient, you can do anything. You can pass through a needle, the whole of a needle, if you think and believe that you can do that. It's just about that passion and about you pushing and not looking back and not bothering about whatever people think or people feel that should be those obstacles. Break those obstacles and there you pass. Because at the end of the day, I feel more comfortable. Okay, with the normal upheavals that we have in the country, it is really difficult, yes. Because during my mentorships, I used to go back to the grassroots to talk to the girl child from those areas where they can grow and they become confident and be able to become what I have become today. But see, it's very difficult now. It's very difficult. Yes.
Thank you, Shay.
Because right now we cannot do that. And they don't have the facilities that we have. Like the internet, they don't have it. We used to go to schools, meet the young girl child, try to see how we can educate them, and then put in some small projects and see how they can go about it. But right now it's very difficult because we cannot travel to those areas. It's difficult. Those areas are already risk zones for us because we cannot even penetrate those areas. So I don't know how they go about it. It's a bit painful because you see those young girls that you wanted them to become something. You see them not being able to become what you envisage. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I won't lie to you people. I feel that every day, but I keep on trying. We keep on trying because the only way we can do now is, maybe we recruit a lot of them coming from those areas. What we do, we send word of mouth. When it goes there, and if they have the opportunity to come to an area where we can pick them and bring them up, then we bring them. So I have a lot of girls that, so many, I beg your pardon, that I employ, even if it means doing just the small things around to be able to enable them have some finances. Because, you know, when it happens like that, what happens to them? They go into the unorthodox methods of doing things.
Of course.
Those,
And
yes,
we want
trying
to
to
keep them
make
from
ends
doing that.
meet.
Exactly.
Trying to make ends meet. So it's a very difficult thing. So right now, I am only trying to make sure that they have small employment. Those who want to go to school, we try to see how we can put them through school, and then they work during the holidays and see how they can manage. So that is what we are doing.
Thank you very much. Now, we are just about coming to the 90-minute mark on this session. Like a good football match, we have passed the ball back and forth between us women, and we have been blessed indeed to have the presence of several gentlemen in our midst today. I see certain friends and colleagues from the industry. Thank you for tuning in. We've had questions, we've had requests for contacts and connections. This is why we are here, so that you can form the kind of network that moves Africa forward. I keep getting asked, how is it that we put these webinars together and they're specifically for women? And I always say, we do not exclude the men. Men are very welcome. Indeed, you are partners in our progress. We could not do this except with the support of the mighty, massively amazing men who support us. So really, we do give you our thanks. On my end, it's been a very big pleasure sitting with you today. I know that there are many questions that we are not able to find answers to immediately, and we will begin to address these things in the course of our further conversations. We have talked about so many things in this few 90 minutes. They seemed like a long time when we were planning, but then we start to speak with one another and we find there's not enough time. So I'm gonna quickly go through the ladies on the panel today, and I'm gonna ask you, beginning with Mabel and then with Esther, and then I'll go to Bertha and Jane in that order. If you had one word of advice, Mabel, what would you say to other women entrepreneurs?
Thank you. I would advise them not to fear into venturing into any kind of business, but they should look at the market. Once you have the business idea, look at the kind of market that exists, how you'll be able to move your produce, because we are having all these challenges with agric because everybody, oh, let's do vegetables. Then we go into vegetable farming, and then you realize that there's no market. There are too many competition. The word competition has come back again. So certainly look at the market, look at the possible things that you can do with what you are working with. In case you are not able to sell to this group, what is my next option? Can I go into processing, or can I turn it into something else before you start? That would be my advice.
Thank you
it's
very
more than
much.
one word.
Thank you, Mabel. Esther, what would your one word of advice be?
Don't be afraid of failure. Yes, jump with both feet in. You can start with Che just with a little bit of money, but with vision, you can get even further than where you ever hoped you could be. Failure is part of your learning process. It is part of what will expand your experience and will make you credible when you're selling yourself in front of those who you want to invest in you. So do not be afraid of failure.
Thank you, Esther. Jane, what would you say to entrepreneurs like yourself?
Yes, we have talked a lot about starting a business from passion. You're passionate about something, you go there, get a product and service to offer. But you can also start a business by identifying needs in the society, identifying challenges in the society, identifying opportunities. And some of those opportunities could be problems that you are facing as an individual. Then come up with a solution or a product to meet that problem or need. Then when you do, focus on impact, because impact is something greater than you. When you focus on impact could be social, economic, environmental. It can be in any angle. Focus on something greater than you, and you're going to reach many people, and you're going to fulfill your vision when you look at the bigger picture besides you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jane. And so to round up the discussion part of our session today, and I say that because for about a few more minutes, we will throw open the cocktail part of the session so that you can have conversations with our panelists and they can focus on responding to you. Now to close it, Bertha, on this session, you are my voice of E for Impact. What would your one word be?
One word is very hard for me, for those who know me. So I'll do one word of 4 areas. But definitely I want to say, I like Tatiana, she said, who do you know? And now you know, and I would like to answer that, you know E for Impact. And E for Impact knows many, many partners. It knows how to create alliances that definitely propel you to the next stage. So I just would actually like to say that the ladies here who spoke did my job for me very well. They highlighted areas that we are very passionate in as E for Impact, which is building business models, sustainable, resilient business models. And sustainable business models need a leader who's visionary. They need leadership, especially now we are in the middle of a pandemic. It's like a war. I think I kept emphasizing passion, vision, grit, because when you're in a space like this, you need leadership that allows you, situational leadership that allows scanning the environment, being able to be flexible and agile, decision thinking that is very quick on the foot. You need leadership that listens, that respects, and that has a lot of empathy. Right. Issues of protecting jobs, you heard Chair talked about cutting costs to protect jobs. We heard about diversification, moving into other areas to not put your eggs in one basket. We heard about managing your resources, knowing your break-even points, your profits, understanding how to build a financial model that can survive in this environment. So all the ladies brought up very important points in terms of financial management in such an environment. As COVID, I read an article yesterday from the UNDP saying COVID has caused a reversal in human development that we have not seen since 1990. We have about 365 million learners sitting at home, 8.5 million teachers sitting at home, 6.2 million players in tourism, entertainment, airlines sitting at home. So we need leadership that has empathy, that is quick thinking, flexible, and we need financial management modules that come, and all these we emphasize in our curriculum of our programs at E for Impact. We look at your business model, we build you as a person and as a leader who's a visionary and who wants to build a dream. So my one word after all those words is, I'll pick from, and all that I've mentioned is to thank all the faculties in all the countries across Africa for Impact who contributed to my last few words, not one word, who talked about leadership and diversification, who talked about flexibility. And I say we need to have memories of the future. We need to have fortitude to be able to build skills within us to face situations in a manner that drives the teams behind us to build Africa. And in collaborations, I always say you need to have mastered something. For you to compete or to collaborate, you have mastered something. You know something that you know, I'm willing to share this with the next person and build on their strengths. So we need leaderships who are self-aware, who know their strengths and their weaknesses, and who know how to collaborate to strengthen their weaknesses with others' strengths. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bertha. We really appreciate it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I need to round up this part of the program today. My people say, Agbajowo laughing soya. And when I say my people, I mean of my people, because my people are many. I am As you probably know, Nigerian originally, of a Yoruba mother, an Igbo father, a Togolese Ave-speaking grandmother. I am today sitting in Kenya. I am married to a Kikuyu, a Kenyan, and my children are children of the world. And so this is the future of Africa and the future of humanity as a people and as a race. If we do not hold each other's hands, we will fall. If you are a wealthy person and your entire community is poor, then you're the poorest of people indeed. So the aim of gathering women together like this is so that Africa can be truly wealthy, so that there is no one around you who has no help. One of the reasons why we have women on this gatherings is to open themselves up to also help other women and other entrepreneurs. So my hope is that ladies, after you have joined us on this panel, that you will continue to be august members of our network, and that when we call upon you, you will make yourselves available to help other women and other entrepreneurs to grow our beautiful continent together. So thank you again for lending us your voice, your wisdom, your expertise, your experience, your passion, and your personal stories. Be blessed, all of you, in what you do, and we look forward to more programs like this. Thank you again, and see you next time. I'm going to hand over to the E4 Impact crew to take over now. Asante Sana.
Thank you, Funke. That was amazing. I'm sure we don't want to leave. If you could have a second part of it. I think the conversations have been very stimulating, and I don't want to say anything that was going to dilute that. Just to mention, in the words of what Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see. And I think to sort of propel that change and instill it in our societies and our communities, it's the women who are going to carry this. So what we say in Africa and at E4 Impact, we say, we want to use entrepreneurship to forge Africa's future collaboratively, all right? So we are not a silo, we are working together. So thank you very much for taking time to spend your evening with us. We really appreciate. We hope it was of value. You've learned something, you've picked something that is going to impact you and another woman and another person. I think Mercy has shared a link on the chat. Kindly take 1 or 2 minutes as we are winding up. We have a little fire that will go on for about 5 minutes before we close this meeting officially. To give us your feedback, even suggestions of topics that you think we need to address. This is a platform to empower all of us. So let's make it work for us. What is it that you want to hear? All right, so thank you very much to all our panelists. We really appreciate your insights and sharing your experiences. You've lit other candles for sure. Thank you, Funke.
You're welcome, Isabella. Always a pleasure.
Just one more thing. Maybe Isabella, we can do the photo, the group photo. Yes, I always like.
In this life of Zoom meetings,
May I please invite every member to turn on their videos so we can get a family photo together.
Yes.
Yes, and we'd like to see your faces. I know we are all mask covered.
Well, here we are then.
Mercy, you're going to take the photo for us?
Yes, I will. Okay,
right,
so.
Are you going to tell us when to look for the bird?
So everyone should look at their camera, look at the screen, look at the camera so that we can see your beautiful faces. And then 1, 2, 3, smile. Yes. Just give me a second. We have 4 pages, so
let's keep smiling.
Let's just keep smiling.
Keep the smiles on.
All right, the second page.
Mandira, you look alike. Are you from?
Yes, we do.
All right, 1, 2, 3, smile again. Yes. Thank you. That's the second page. We're coming to the grand finale. The last page. All right. Thank you. Managed to capture.
Beautiful. I love that there are babies on this call. Thank you for bringing the children. This is the future of our legacy. And yes, we welcome them. I've had to shoo mine out of the house so we can have a peaceful call. But thank you for bringing the kids on. It's been a wonderful time with you all. We will see you again very shortly. And, we look forward to continuing this conversation.
Beautiful work, beautiful work. God bless
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Chinasa.
Thank you,
Thank you
Adai.
all. Really good to see you guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It is good to see you.
Atena, thank you for featuring from Mozambique.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ibe. Appreciate it.
I told you, Funke, that you are Onibo.
I'm on Yarachukun.
I know.
And I can say the same thing in Yoruba.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for
I'm from Imo State, but I live in Mozambique.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah,
oh, good.
Tatiana, those are your people.
Yeah,
I like people. We should definitely meet.
Exactly. We should
don't
hook up.
forget to get across to me. I've sent my email address. Please, I'd like a follow-up with you, Tatiana and Isabella. Please, God bless you.
Beautiful.
Thank you for joining, Chinasa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Catch up next time.
Thank you.
Okay. Ciao. Fica bem.
All right. Later we'll keep talking,
I must say, Tatiana,
We'll
your
keep
girl is
chatting.
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Tatiana was great, eh?
Yes, she was. I've been waiting for that.
Yeah, she just the best resource I have in Mozambique now.
There you go, Tatiana. Look, referrals and recommendations already.
That's great.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Please get in touch. And Bertha, thank you so much for the invitation.
You're
really
very welcome.
It.
Thank you very much, all the ladies. Definitely amazing. I had so many things written down, and I was just ticking. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Esther. Thanks, Mabel. So literally, my little papers came to nothing. but nothing with, because you shared, it was just priceless.
Thank you. Thank you so
No,
much.
thank you all. I'll definitely be in touch with each one of the
sharing.
panelists. Amazing woman. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much.
So guys, you have to go now. See you next time.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Okay.
So ladies, don't forget to give us your feedback and look out for our information on the next webinar.
Thank you.
Wish you all the very best. Have a beautiful
Thank
weekend.
you. Thanks,
Bye.
Funke.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Good evening.
Bye. Good evening.
Bye.
I think Isabella, me and you, we like hanging around.
I want to kill Facebook.
You need to lock the doors and the windows.